Hurry! The sun is going down. There is no time to delay. No time to wait for tomorrow. What must be done now. In the world of Jesus, death did not allow hesitation. It demanded action. Before nightfall, the body had to be prepared. Before the Sabbath, it had to be buried. Before darkness, honor had to be given. Today, death is distant, hidden behind hospital walls, controlled environments, and brief ceremonies. But 2,000 years ago, death was unavoidable. It was seen. It was touched. It was carried. This is the world we are entering. Because to understand how funerals happened in the time of Jesus is to understand why his resurrection shook history. Stay with this message, not just to learn what they did with the body, but to understand what they believed about life, death, and hope. In first-century Judaism, death was not only emotional, it was ritual. According to the law of Moses, contact with a dead body made a person ritually impure, not sinful, not morally guilty, but ceremonially unclean. This impurity temporarily removed a person from religious and communal life. Work paused. Worship paused. Normal routine stopped. Death interrupted everything. Because of this, burial could not be delayed. Leaving a body exposed was not neutral. It was negligence. The family had a responsibility to act quickly, to act respectfully, to act before sunset, especially when the Sabbath was near. Urgency was not panic. It was obedience. When someone died, the entire community felt it. Death did not happen behind closed doors. It broke into public life. Crying was heard. Lament filled the air. Neighbors arrived without invitation. Pain was not hidden. It was shared. Silence in that world was not strength. Silence meant indifference. To mourn aloud was to honor the dead. To cry publicly was to acknowledge the weight of loss. Grief belonged to everyone. Immediately after death, the body was brought inside the house or into a reserved space. There were no spectators, only familiar hands, only those who loved the deceased. The atmosphere was heavy, quiet cries, restrained movements. The body was washed with water, dust removed, sweat removed, blood removed. This was not a technical act. It was relational. Those who washed the body accepted ritual impurity willingly, because honoring the dead mattered more than avoiding discomfort. The hair was combed, the face adjusted, the eyes closed. Every movement carried meaning. Every touch acknowledged dignity. After washing came the anointing. Myrrh, aloes, not luxury, necessity. The perfume slowed the smell of decomposition, allowing time for transport and mourning. But they also declared something deeper. This body mattered. It was not treated as waste. It was honored until the end. After the anointing, the body was wrapped in linen, not Egyptian preservation, not artificial immortality. Simple strips, functional, respectful. The body was dressed for rest. The Gospels describe this exact process. Joseph of Arimathea provides the linen. Nicodemus brings an abundance of spices. The burial of Jesus followed Jewish custom precisely. There was haste because of the Sabbath, but there was no neglect. Care defeated abandonment. Honor resisted death. Jesus was not buried carelessly. He was buried faithfully. When preparation ended, mourning began, and it was loud. Crying was not weakness. It was duty. Families raised their voices. Neighbors joined in. Pain filled the house. Professional mourners arrived, often women. Flutes played. Laments repeated. This was not theater. It was ritual. Lament forced the community to face loss. It prevented grief from being minimized or rushed. When the Gospels describe Jesus entering houses filled with crying and flutes, this was normal. Mourning was functioning exactly as it should. Then came the walk. The body was placed on a simple stretcher, wrapped, visible, no coffin, no concealment. The procession moved through village streets. People joined as it advanced. Crying softened, voices lowered. The destination was outside the city, not because the dead were rejected, but because life and death were distinct. Crossing the city walls marked separation. Life continued inside. The body rested outside. The tombs were carved into limestone rock. Low entrances, stone benches, family tombs. After about a year, the bones were collected and placed into stone boxes, ossuaries, names engraved. This was not mere practicality. It revealed belief. The body was not lost forever. Death was a waiting period. Resurrection was expected. Hope was carved into stone. The final act was sealing the tomb. A massive stone carved to fit a groove was rolled into place. Heavy, final, irreversible. Multiple people pushed together. Once closed, it was not easily moved. The stone declared without words, "Here life has ended." The process was complete. Jesus' tomb was sealed the same way. A stone rolled, guards posted, security ensured. Humanity did everything it could to secure death. And yet, the stone did not have the final word. Jesus did not escape burial. He passed through it. He fulfilled every human ritual of death to reveal its limits. The tomb became a witness, not an obstacle. The funeral of Jesus makes the resurrection undeniable. Death was real. Burial was complete. Finality was declared. And yet life returned, not by avoiding death, but by overcoming it. This is why understanding funerals in the time of Jesus changes everything. For the people who stood outside that tomb, there was nothing more to do. The stone had been rolled, the entrance sealed, the guards placed. Grief had been expressed, the body honored, the ritual completed. According to every human standard, the story was finished. No one expected reversal. No one waited for surprise. No one stood by the tomb in hope. Because in that world, when a stone closed a tomb, it stayed closed. Death did not negotiate. It did not delay. It did not reconsider. This is what gives weight to the resurrection. Not wishful thinking, not symbolic language, but historical rupture. Those who buried Jesus knew death intimately. They had washed bodies before, wrapped linen before, rolled stones before. They were not naive. They were experienced. And that is why the empty tomb was not comforting at first. It was alarming. Confusion came before joy, fear before faith, questions before understanding, because resurrection did not fit any category they knew. The tomb was not incidental. It was necessary. Without burial, resurrection would be rumor. Without sealing, victory would be dismissed. Without finality, hope would be cheap. But death was allowed to speak fully before being answered. This is the pattern of the gospel. God does not bypass reality. He enters it. He does not deny suffering. He passes through it. Jesus did not rise instead of dying. He rose after dying. And this matters deeply, because it means that faith is not built on denial of pain, but on transformation of it. The stone was meant to keep life in. Instead, it testified to life's return. It stood as proof that death had been taken seriously, and therefore defeated completely. The resurrection was not magic, it was fulfillment. Everything humans could do to honor death, they did, and everything death could claim, it claimed. Yet it did not win. We live in a world that often avoids death, hides it, distances itself from it. We prefer quick ceremonies, controlled grief, silent endings. But the ancient world reminds us that death deserves honesty, and so does hope. Faith does not require pretending that loss is small. It requires trusting that it is not final. The early followers of Jesus did not believe because they ignored death. They believed because they knew it well. They had seen sealed tombs before. They had mourned deeply before. They had accepted endings before. And yet this ending did not behave like others. Just as death once interrupted life, resurrection interrupted death. The sealed was opened. The guarded was breached. The final was undone, not by force, but by authority. Not by denial, but by fulfillment. This is why the resurrection still matters, because it tells us that God's promises do not collapse under the weight of reality. They pass through it. This story does not rush us. It invites reflection. It asks us to consider what we believe about endings, about loss, about silence, about sealed places in our own lives. It reminds us that waiting is not wasted, that darkness is not absent, that stones do not speak the last word. If this journey through history has helped you see the gospel more clearly, pause for a moment, reflect, and if you feel led, share this message with someone who may be standing before a sealed place of their own. Leave a comment below about what part of this story stayed with you. Thank you for walking slowly through this truth. The stone was rolled, but hope remained, and it still does.